Okay, in this video tutorial we're going to continue working in the timeline in Premiere Pro, but what we're going to do now is instead of doing a swap edit where we shuffle the clips in the timeline, we're actually going to replace a shot in the timeline. So that's just simply called a replace edit in Premiere Pro. There are a couple of ways to do this, two main ways actually. One is the drag and drop method, which I don't recommend. I'll show it to you very briefly. But the second method, it does use the mouse, but it's more of a quick click with the mouse, and you just select the right option and it does the replace edit for you. It's a faster way, it's more flexible, and it's more efficient. So let's get into the timeline again and first see what the problem is. Why do we need to replace a shot in the first place? And this could be a very common thing in a news sequence. You may have a shot that's just inaccurate. It's the wrong thing that we're seeing on the screen, and it doesn't match what's in the script, and we need to replace it. Or it just doesn't fit within the general flow of shots within the sequence. Maybe the continuity doesn't match, or the shot, there's a better shot in the bin that we could use instead. So in this case, we've got this book signing event. The sequence opens with just a shot of the sign of the gallery. This is just a quick location shot. Then it goes to somebody walking into the building with the poster of the event on the door. And then it cuts inside and we go right to the signing of the book. Right, and then a little sequence of her signing a copy for a fan. The problem, however, though, is look at this shot. The woman walks in the gallery, and there's a balloon that was hanging on the rail, and it keeps floating in and out of the shot. The movement of the woman is fine, going right into the doorway, just a quick, clean shot there. We see the sign, we see her going in, but we've got that annoying balloon in the way. It's a good reason you always shoot a couple of extra B-roll takes, because you might need a better, cleaner shot than this one. And we don't want to be stuck with only this option. So I do happen to have a better shot, and I happen to have found it in my bin, and I'll just bring it into the source monitor. It's clip 90. This shot happens to be number 88. And what I want to do is just look through it real quick. There we go. There's a guy coming into the doorway, and there's no balloon in the way. So let's replace this shot, clip 88, with shot 90. So what I could do simply is, again, to try the drag method, I could click on this clip in the source window and start to drag it down into the timeline. But look what happens. We see that downward facing arrow. That means by default we're into an overwrite edit. And it's grabbing a big chunk of video on shot 90. And it's not only going to overwrite clip 88 in the bin, it's going to overwrite the next shot and a big portion of the following shot. So we don't want to cover up an entire 3 shots in the timeline. The reason it's doing that is because it has these old in and out marks, an old in point from a previous viewing of the clip, and there's really no out point. So it's going to take 10 seconds of footage and try to cover up a bunch of stuff in the timeline. All right, I don't want that. So you can do a replace edit with dragging. There's a quick modifier key that you have to use, and it's the option key, magic modifier, the option key on your Mac keyboard. So this time I'm going to click this. It's still going to use this as the in point, the old in point where it's just before the guy comes into the shot. But it's only going to take the amount that it needs to overwrite shot 88 in the timeline. So it won't cover up all the other shots. And let's watch that. So we grab the clip, hold down the option key, drag it down. Now we get a plus sign. And notice how it only fits right over shot 88. If I dragged it to 85, it would again take only as much of shot 90 as it needs to overwrite 85. But we're going to overwrite this one right over 88. I have just enough. It's only going to take what it needs of the source clip to overwrite shot 88. I let go of the mouse and it has done it. You let go of the mouse before you let go of the modifier key, by the way. And there we now have that shot. Okay, the balloon is not in the way anymore. That's the dragging method, which can result in some problems if you drag and drop in the wrong place. You create a bigger mess than you had to start with, and you've got to clean that up. Or if you don't actually hit the modifier key at the right time, it can be a mess. So here's the better way, and this is the replace edit where you just simply do a right click. And I'll show you a quick way to do that. Okay, there's the shot we need to fix, number 88. I can right click on it and go to replace with clip. And it gives me 3 choices from the source monitor, which means it would take this shot starting at this in point. It would start here and take as much as it needs just to replace shot 88. Simple enough. Another option, which I really like, is the second one. It's the more magic option, if you will, the better one. It says take the clip from the source monitor but match the frame. What that means is that wherever I put this playhead, so for example, if I want to match the timing just right, let's say I go to right to where the woman is in the doorway. This is in my program monitor. She's right in the doorway. Her hand is literally going right across the door frame. So I put this playhead right there, and I want to create what's kind of like a sync point or a match frame. Then I drag in the source window. I just quickly put the guy right to where his elbow is just about going in the door. It's pretty close. So I've got him just entering the room about at the same position as the woman. Now when I do that replace edit, right click, replace with clip from source monitor and match frames. What it's going to do now is match this part of the shot to this exact position in the timeline. So it's going to take what it needs before it, what it needs after it, enough to fill the space, enough to overwrite shot 88, but it's going to match these sort of sync points or these continuity motion points. So watch what happens when we do that. Right click, replace with clip from source monitor, match the frame. Now shot 90 is in our timeline, and I can hit the tilde key to blow that up for you. Now there's shot 90. Again, it just covered up what it needed, covered up shot 88. And let's watch the flow here. The idea is we want to see the guy coming into the shot and going all the way out of the frame, basically, before the next shot. It's a good, solid movement. I don't want to cut to him when he's already in the doorway. I want to have him go all the way through. So that's what we've done, is we just matched the position of him. I'll undo that. This was the woman going in, right at that line. She was hitting the doorway. And again, we replaced the shot with the source monitor match frame. Now the guy is in the doorway just at that spot in the timeline. So we have a nice sync there. I could have easily have just done this, right click, replace with clip from source monitor. If I do this, however, it's going to take the shot from the original in point, wherever that was, and it may not give me as smooth an action match as I had intended. So again, this is the faster way. You just look at the clip very quickly, move the position indicator where you need it, match it with this in the timeline, right click, replace with source or from source with a match frame. The third option I should just mention briefly is replace from bin. What that's going to do is it's going to replace shot 90 with any clip that I have selected in the bin. It happens to be shot number 90, whichever is the active clip in a bin, it will replace with that one. And it's just going to take it from whatever endpoint it had left behind. So you might actually get the wrong shot or the wrong part of a shot if you do that. So I highly recommend the right click, replace from the source monitor with a match frame. And that's a real nice way to quickly change the shots in your timeline.